that you got to keep me quiet. Okay. Well, it's been a long holiday. Yes, my love. You need something? Cool. Okay. You can come and sit with me. Okay. Okay. So last week we're running from, can you just close the door for me? Last week we're running from Ben Gurion onto the plane, making sure that we get the recording, get a little bit of Rebbetzen Zimmerman, and we're already back at the next Thursday night, and it is Erev Shabbos again. And don't ask me how that happens, but Erev Shabbos comes quicker than we know. And the beautiful thing about the Erev Shabbos coming quicker than we know is that it will be a place that we're going to be able to bring Mashiach quicker than we know as well. So there's also definitely something to look forward to. The day began and it has moved on. And from starting this morning, talking about the energy of Yud Chet, the 18th of Elul, we are now. And I did start and elevate your Elul daily. And I was like, oh my goodness, where is it? So now we have, and please God, from today, I'm going to do all of it 11. We've got our 11 days left. And it's actually very exciting. So when I was thinking about like, how can Rosh Hashanah be coming so quickly? There happens to be a shofar on the table. My son tried to blow it. It was a little bit loud. And you're thinking, come on. But we actually get the sound of the shofar every day that comes from Hagas. And before we know it, we're actually going to already be starting Slichot. And we're thinking to ourselves, what are we going to do? Have you made your menu plans? Have you done your invitations? Have we done all the things that we need to? Have you done your shopping? Whatever. Have you got your clothes? What do you need? What do we need? And right now, we are in a place that the entire Jewish people, Klal Yisrael, all need a huge, huge Yeshua. And before I actually begin, because I didn't mention it before, this share is the Ilu Nishmas Zivit Bat Yitzchak Tzion HaKohen, another one of our Kohanim and Bat Kohen. Somebody was very special and very dear to many of us, and should be, please God, that Zivit's Neshama should have an Aliyah. And she was one of those beautiful, special people that was always looking to do good for others. And those are the lessons that I feel that I parted with Zivit in sharing her goodness and doing all her goodness. So I think it's more than an appropriate time now. And when a person leaves the world, her yahrzeit is actually on Shabbos. When a person leaves the world, there's no accident in the timing. Hashem has every single thing precisely there for each and every one of us. And this morning we began our share with Rebbetzen Silber and learning about Tehillim. And really, I shouldn't say this morning we began. This morning we began at 9 a.m. with reading chapter 27, as we do and should do twice a day throughout this month of Elul. And every morning, for anybody that wants to join, it is actually on this same Zoom link. And we join together to read this beautiful parak of Tehillim together with the recorded voice of Sapir Cohen. Sapir Cohen, the hostage who came out and is with us and teaching and encouraging people, because she knows that the thing that actually saved her, some miracle of whatever, she learned this parak 27, and throughout her captivity, this was the thing that kept her going. This was the thing that kept her going every single day, and whenever she was, she knew this parak by heart. And if you listen to it and we say it together with her recording, you can literally hear the depth of each word being shared and said. So that was the beginning of our day. We start off because we wake up in the morning and we say Modeh Ani, and we thank Hashem for bringing us into this world to do what? To make it a better place to be. To make it a better place to be. Because that's who we are as Jews. We're here because Hashem put us in this world. And because you're here and He's put you in this world, He says that you have your own individual capacity and ability to do the best that you can do. And I want you to do that. And that is what we're going to look at a little bit tonight, to see how are we preparing, writing down your menus, writing down your shopping list, writing down to make sure that you don't forget the things that you want to and maybe need to buy for Chag, your beautiful dresses. Make sure that everything's done, and we make sure that you've got all your appointments in time, because that is also part of the beautiful preparation of Rosh Hashanah. Our Rosh Hashanah for us is something which is so beautiful, because it's a Rosh Hashanah which comes not with the dark and the heaviness. It comes with light and simcha. And it's going to be the simcha that's going to help us to elevate everything that we do. And it's going to be the simcha that's going to be the driving force of the entire Jewish people coming to greet Mashiach, because it's very hard right now. Right now, there's a lot of pain. And it doesn't matter whether we look left or whether we look right. Every time we open up something, we know that something else is happening in the world, because it's not just us, it's all the nations. And when we see something, we're not going to make the huge big deal. Yes, Charlie Kirk looked after the Jews. He did what he could. He was such a fabulous person. But we have to remind ourselves that our work as Jews is to make sure that we're doing, not only fixing what we should have been doing, but making sure that we do well what Hashem has gifted us with to use, and to make sure that we use that properly. And so when we look at it, we say, okay, what was the 18th? And this morning, as we started our share with Rebbetzen, Silva said 18th of Elul and 9/11. And there's no mistake that these 2 days right now are the same day. But what we're going to make sure to do with our Chai Elul is make a L'chai, okay? And that was today. Tonight we're into the 19th, so it's Yud Tet. And we're going to still say L'chaim, because we make sure that we elevate, and we make sure that it becomes something which is positive. And what the 9/11 destruction did, as was also mentioned, that we've all had our own little bit, but somehow when we Jews, it doesn't really matter in the rest of the world. But that's actually okay. And it's okay. Why? Because it matters in one place, and it matters in the place that Hashem is watching us, and He is the only one that it matters for, because that's totally up to us, how we behave, how we think, and what we say. Now imagine, we've already missed one day, and I hope that I squeezed a tiny little bit in, because really what we need is an amount of time to sit down and to think. 12 days, now it's 11 days to Rosh Hashanah. And what does that mean? Each day corresponds to the entire month of the last year. Each day corresponds to the entire month of the last year. So today was Yud Chet. It's 12 days to Rosh Hashanah. And that meant that we've already passed through the month of Tishrei. Okay? What we really should have done and could have done in this day is actually done tshuva for anything that we might have done wrong throughout that month, or what we didn't fulfill and do that we could have and should have done. So tonight, we're going to start thinking about, tonight and tomorrow, we're going to think about the month of Cheshvan. And that we're going to be able to think to ourselves, write it down. Was I always ready on time for Shabbat? Did I do the best that I could do? Did I shop every day of the week? Was I thinking, what can I do for Shabbat this week? One tiny little thing on a Motzei Shabbos. And what do we do? What do? I prepare my Shabbat candles for next week. On a Thursday night, before I go to sleep, and I won't tell you what time that is sometimes, my candles come out of the cupboard, and they're ready for Shabbos. My husband puts the wicks in on Friday afternoon, sometimes a little bit too close, but I leave the prepared ones. You get those boxes of prepared wicks now. Wow, thank you. Whoever thought of it, thank you, Hashem, for giving that to us. So there's always a little bit less, okay? And my Shabbat table, our Shabbat table, has a Shabbat tablecloth on it. Because when we come down in the morning, we want to see and feel it is properly Erev Shabbat. So we could be looking at this and say, let's go back. I can't remember. Do you remember what you did last year in Cheshvan? I certainly don't remember what I did last year in Cheshvan. But I can imagine. You know why? Because they're the things that I'm thinking of now that I can be rectifying and doing better. What are the little things that I can do to just be a little bit better? And every day when we think about this, we have an ability to do that. So I have to say that today I had my little test, a test that I actually noticed, and I realized that it was one of my little tests. And even though it was in the process of doing something which I thought was good, so I was dropping my granddaughter somewhere. I knew that I wouldn't be able to pick her up because I was scheduled for a meeting and I knew how long the meeting was going to be. And I was actually today perfectly on time and then 3 minutes late because I couldn't work out how to pay the parking in Mill Hill. And I put my card in and it wasn't extending the time. So you know what I did? I sent the person a text message. I said, just make sure that you just pay my car, please, because I can't do it. Okay, but once I came, I realized afterwards that I'd actually given my husband the wrong time to pick up my granddaughter. And you know, I didn't call you Dolph because I got the person there to pay who I was going to do the work for. So there you go. So I suddenly thought to myself, oh my goodness. And then I get these messages and I'm like, oh, I got the wrong time. Because why? I wanted to pass another message and I was more focused on that message. You know, 4:50, 5:50. What's the difference? Only an hour. I'll tell you one of the things that really made me think that was so much easier to do because I wanted to make sure that I did something today to correct something last year. I sent about 6 messages. I'm so sorry. It was really my fault. I gave you the wrong time. I gave Saba the wrong time. I did this and that, whatever it was. And you know what? I got back into the car afterwards and I made the phone. I tried to phone to see where my granddaughter was. And then I heard the telephone ringing in the car. I'm thinking, okay. But at least when she opened up her phone, my messages of apology were there, and I had apologized to my husband, and it was all that made it feel it's okay. We all make mistakes, and we want to aim to do better. So here was something in a reality space, a tiny little thing. And I hope and pray that that will be something where I will be able to say to Hashem, I really, really worked on it, and I really did it. And I accomplished that. And now, if we write down for ourselves things which we have to focus on because we don't remember, you know, you write down something that you want to say. And I know, I go through, I have a look, what am I going to say? How are we going to do? What do we do? And then I finish and we say, oh, what a pity. I totally forgot that. It could have even been written down, right? It could have been written down, but I didn't look. Or I might have forgotten. So our place has to be, what do we want to do? Our intentions are what take us to the place that we want to be closest to with Hashem. It's all about intentions. We all need to, but it's real. We can't say I'm intending to do something and really not be. We've got to look at that and say, I really, really want to do better. Right now, if we knew that our intentions and our actions of doing something better is going to bring shalom, total peace to the land of Israel and all Jews everywhere. We're all in that place now. And sometimes I'm thinking, what did we learn before World War II? What should we be doing? And I wish I had the answer. Because I imagine sometimes as I'm sitting and we're talking about the different places and different things happening, we're saying, were these the conversations that were taking place before? And then I say, well, actually, they could have been the same conversations. And what's the difference? The difference is that we have an inhabited, beautiful land of Israel. We have an Israeli place that we all have a place, please God, to be able to go to. But do we want to wait? And we don't have the answers, but we've got to hope and pray that Hashem really gives us so much divine intervention, so much siyata dishmaya, that he says to us, this is now a chance. He's giving us the chances now, every day, until Rosh Hashanah. We have a chance to take out a space in our day and say, we want to do better. Will this make a difference? Can this make a difference? And you know what? We don't look at anybody else doing better. We don't look to see what anybody else is doing, to criticize or to see what's happening. What do we look for? How am I doing? Am I in a place where I'm saying, I can honestly say, you know what, Hashem? I'm really feeling that I'm doing the right thing. And it's all good. And it's all okay. So when we look here and we say, what happens? Okay. And if you can write it down, literally go and take your 12 pages or take one page and put, now we're going to start tonight. So day 19, 20, 21 and carry on. And just write something that you could think of that I want to do better this year that I haven't done. And maybe that will help us to jog our memories about something that happened last year that we really need to correct. Maybe there's somebody that we have to phone and apologize to. Maybe we have to have the conversation with Hashem and say, you know what, Fridays when they're so early are so difficult. How do we do it? Be more prepared. How am I going to be more prepared if that's not in my nature? Work on it and make sure that we try our best. How often are we going to maybe make challah and make a bracha on challah? How are we going to light bud candles? What are the things that we're going to do when we bring in and make sure that we're a little bit more ready for Shabbat than we were last year? And maybe if there's something that we didn't intend to do and didn't do last year, we can think of doing a little bit better and doing more this year. This is really a chance and a time which Hashem has given us to fix and to make a difference today. And you can know that you've made a difference today. If we imagine, like nobody here included, but if somebody, God forbid, had spoken Lashon Hara about somebody, and they know that they said something that they shouldn't, and they want to be able to apologize to that person. So I have actually started reading, and I was just looking for it. I was looking for 3 books that I have in one of the piles, and then Hashem hides it. And then when I'm 5 minutes later, I'm like, okay, oh, it was right there. Okay, it was right there. But we look for. So the one book that I have started looking at and reading is Rabbi Mendel Kessem's book on Lashon Hara. And it's actually, you know what? It's not that difficult as long as there's nobody around you. So I said to somebody, you know what we want to become? We want to become the word of Elul. Elul is Ani l'doidi v'doidili. When we have this thing that we say, I am to my beloved as my beloved is to me. What do we have to become? We have to be able to make ourselves that we are the beloved. And how do we do that? By simply taking ourselves and bettering ourselves as people. Sometimes we just have to. And it's okay. Sometimes we have to say, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have said that. And that's also okay. And sometimes we also have to just make an excuse for walking out of a place because we don't want to listen to what is actually being said. And you know what? That is also okay. So when we're in that space and we recognize, right? We recognize that that is something that I am actually able to do. And we look at the world and we think to ourselves, what are the things? What do we have to be able to say? We've got to be able to admit only to the one above that we're the ones, we've sinned. We haven't done it exactly right. We've missed the mark. And you know what? We need to do something better about it. And what do we have to say? We have to say that I want to make myself into the better person. And when we look, and I'm just going to quickly get in here and just to find the pasuk because it was so beautiful. When we look and we see how Hashem really says, he says, Hester panecha michatasai. He says, hide your face from my sins. Don't look at my sins, okay? And nor all my iniquities. Just erase them. Just get rid of them. And then David HaMelech says this beautiful thing, which we all know the song of, and if I could sing, I would, but I can't, so I won't do it to all of you, and I wouldn't embarrass any of my family members that would actually hear it. So we go like this. He says, Lev tahor bara, not bara, bara, as a continuous, li Elokim. Veruach nachon chadesh birkibi. When we say this beautiful verse in Tehillim, what are we saying to Hashem? Every day. You know what, Hashem? All I want is a heart that is pure, and I want you to continuously create that for me. And then we're saying that Hashem, and this is the Ruach Nachon, the spirit internally, the correct spirit that you should renew inside me. You know what it actually makes us feel like? When I'm in a place that I know that I've done something that I shouldn't have done, it's not fun, you know? And when we've said something that we shouldn't have said, and then we think, okay, that's okay. You know, I'm sorry. How do we actually make it happen? We say, I'm sorry, and we apologize. We apologize for something because we know that it is not the right thing. As soon as you do something which is correct, which is right, we feel so much better. And what are we asking Hashem? Make it possible that literally with inside me, make it that I have with inside me this lev tahor. Make sure that it is a pure heart because we want goodness. Make sure that it is something that you're going to create and recreate and help me to recreate. Like when we say Modani in the morning. And if we really focus on saying Modani in the morning, you wake up and it's like, okay, Hashem, I'm here. Another day that you have given me and I'm rearing to go. But how am I rearing to go? In the right way, in the good way, in the better way. And now through Elul, whichever part of things that I do in the morning, and you know what this amazing thing about Elul is that you can even say, I'm just doing this for Elul. This is the month that I'm doing it in. I'm only doing it for Elul. And after Elul, oh, well, we'll see. But right now, this is what I'm trying to do. Because the fact that we're going to do something which is good and positive, and the thing that I'm going to do is going to be for Elul, who knows? If I'm doing it for the entire month of Elul and I do it for my 30 days, it might actually be something that is going to continue. It's going to be something that will continue with me in the way that I do that. And as Rebbetzen Silver said, you know, it's about making the ordinary even more. Because it's about ordinary things in life. If we choose, think about the things we do. Think about what you do and just do it with more intention. If we make blessings over our food, let's be more careful about how we make our blessings. And that will take me to having an opening of my water, being a little bit rude and drinking it because I'm not in proximity to a cup. I forgot to bring one of those with me. So we'll do like this. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, sha'akol niyeh bidvaro. You know, there's something so simple in making a bracha. And sometimes we'll see, even ourselves, did I make a bracha? Didn't I make a bracha? Again, nobody here. Did I make a bracha? Didn't I make a bracha? And I remember how people used to speak about the Manchester Rosh Hashanah. If you watched him making a blessing on an apple. But really what it is, we pick up an apple, pick up a piece of fruit, and we say, okay, and take a bite, and did I make the bracha or didn't I? I think I did. Oh, did I? Maybe. If somebody else wasn't there that heard, you might not be sure. Okay? But imagine that even once in a day, we take an apple, cracker, doesn't matter what it is, and just once in the day, we just focus on that. Whatever it is, we look at it and we say, Hashem, you created this apple, and the apple comes from the tree. Now when I make the blessing, I'm going to be able to think about it as Hashem has given me a blessing to eat the fruit of the tree. So when we make that blessing, we have internally something which just elevates that blessing, even just for now. And 20 minutes later, I might have something else and just and go. But I had that space, which gave me an opportunity to say, it's another day in Elul, and that was my thing that I did. You give, sometimes some people put in tzedakah into a tzedakah box. You have a tzedakah box tomorrow before you light your Shabbat candles. Put your little tzedakah into your tzedakah box. Prepare it when you put your candles out and ready tonight. Put your little tzedakah next to your candles. And before you light your Shabbat candles, just pick up it. It could be 5p, it could be 10p, and it could be more. Put it, as you're putting it in the box, say, L'shem mitzvah tzedakah. You have totally changed that giving of that tzedakah and saying, Hashem, I'm giving this because you commanded me to. And we do come to love giving it, but we give that tzedakah simply because we are commanded to. Do we see Hashem as being somebody's compassion? Sometimes it's very difficult when we see different things, but it's not easy to think that Hashem is compassionate when we're going through challenging times, when we're seeing other people suffer, when we know that there is so much suffering in the world. And can we imagine that that is Hashem's compassion? But Hashem gives us opportunity and opportunity and opportunity. And again, more opportunities. And much more than we even imagine. Because if we look around and we count everything that we have, and we thank Him for all the things that we have, and if we're all in the position, I can tell you something, I've thanked many times this week for my knees. I wasn't able to actually even walk properly on my knee. I was like a little bit hobbling around. In fact, last Shabbos, I missed walking up to a Kiddush on Brampton Grove because I literally was not walking properly. And I was like, I'm not going to be silly. I'm going to be very responsible, Joanne, and I'm going to stay here, and I'll find it difficult, but I'm going to do it. And Baruch Hashem, I got myself off I even got a doctor's appointment, which is also not unusual, but there we go. And then I got myself off to wonderful Angela Dow. And I can tell you that with Hashem's blessings of having Angela, and it's such a crazy thing, the way she works. And she puts needles in that arm, pushes somewhere else, and then you feel the pain in your knee. And you know what we start realizing? Every single thing in our body is connected. And who do we think made it that way? Hashem in His absolute compassion. And He gives us more and more opportunities. So actually today, while I was walking quite fast to where I was going for my meeting, and I was like, wow, I can walk. I'm not even hobbling. Do we notice it if we haven't had something that stops us from noticing something? So we look at this and we think, and you know how we're going to remember these things? By writing it down. By writing it down. Because if we don't write it down, somehow we forget. Our memories don't allow us, well, some people do, okay? But what's the hard part? The hard part is actually just being honest with myself and saying, these are the things that I need to write down. This is what I need to do. This is where I need to become better. And this is, and you know what we look at? Nobody else, not other people's, focusing on what I have to do to make me in a place that takes me right. So I'm actually finding that these days ahead are actually going to be very exciting, I hope. And I just have to remind myself every single day. We all have to remind ourselves. Hopefully, you'll all hook onto and sign onto the Elevate our Elul, and we'll start doing our countdown for our days till Rosh Hashanah, and then hopefully we'll carry on until we get to Yom Kippur. And then, please God, we're all going to be in a place where Hashem says, you know what? Hashem will say to us, do you know what we need? What I need from you today is to just join us, and that we're all going to be able to get to the Holy Land, because that's all what we need to do. But we need to bring Hashem into recognizing that we, his children, are taking on all these beautiful things and elevating ourselves and looking at ourselves and not other people. And don't be harsh on yourself. It's actually okay to be able to say, that's okay. So we recognize that way, and then we move forward and we say, that's okay. Now let's just work a little bit harder, because Hashem knows what each and every one of us are capable of. And he says, you might have to stretch yourself a little bit more, but it's okay. So tomorrow, we are actually, well, the English date, the Hebrew date that we actually arrived to was during the Sarasima. And it's a little bit difficult for me to say this, but we've been in England for 34 years. And I was trying to think to myself, okay, what's Lama Dalet? Let's think of something. Let's work something that we're going to be able to do with the 34, because you've had 34 years, and what's the next one? And you know what, when you think about it, I'm nearly more than double the amount of time of my life that I grew up in South Africa, and I've still kept my South African accent, right? And you're still there, but these are the things that we have. But you know what? How grateful. How grateful do we have to be, and do I have to be, for all those 34 years? If I sat down, I'd write a book. I actually even messaged somebody who was so helpful to us on our first few days, and I'm going to message as well Delia Yeager, the mother of Rabbi Yitzchak Yeager, one of the authors of Guidelines, because they were actually, she came and invited us to come and spend Shabbos with them in their home in Leeds. And I used to say, I'm not sure if it was actually a good thing or not such a good thing, but had she not come to invite us to spend Shabbos with them, I think I would have been on the plane back to Eretz Yisrael on that Sunday morning. And then you think to yourself, you know, when Hashem puts you in places, he says to you, you've got to rise to the occasion. You're not here just for a party. It's not just a holiday. And I keep saying to myself, and I still say to myself, the fact that you have been put here and you were sent here means that you have something that you have to do. And I daven to Hashem that I'm going to be able to fully accomplish whatever it is that he believes that I'm able to do, together with everybody in our home and our family. That's what we need to be doing. And it's the whole place of it. And when you sit down and you go through, and I think about it, I write down. And it's one of the exercises that I'm giving myself that to do over the next few days, is to write down some of the things that I can thank Hashem for being able to be the shaliach within those places, to be able to do that, because I'm saying to Hashem, I hope that I'm living up to your expectations of me here. And what would my expectations of me be in a different place? I don't know. If I go there and I'm there, then I'll be able to find that out. Right here, right now. Have I lived up to those things, and what can I do more? What did I miss out on last year doing, because I thought and said that I'm going to do it, but I didn't actually do it? So what are you going to do this week? Because it's not a lot of time. You've got such beautiful opportunities. If anybody is making their challah tonight, my dough is here, and then I'll put on the sourdough after we finish it tonight. But what are we going to do? We're going to take some and share it. We're going to take something to somebody tomorrow, Erev Shabbos. Whatever it might be. Think about somebody who might need something that you actually have an ability to do that you're doing. It could even be a little message. It could be a phone call. It could be a text. It could be a good Shabbos smile. It could be a challah. It even could be some, I've forgotten what you call it. What do you call the salmon? I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what's
Gravel
it?
axe.
Thank you. The gravel axe, we don't know, all these funny things that happen in the world. And we think to ourselves, no, that's not, I've got to elevate. That's elevating. And that's what's so important for all of us to understand. It's the tiny little things where we are and what we're doing that's going to make the difference. It's not the big stuff. It's really the little stuff. It's of being aware of everybody that's in your place and space, of not getting upset. Just 1 second, just 1 moment. All those things that we can do, that we can change, because you know what we're looking at? We're looking inside rather than out. And that can be very hard work, but it is so beneficial. Let's look at what people have done, not what they're not doing. Let's think about what we're saying right rather than what we're not doing. And we need to know that we have to take the energy of the day and the time. And right now, the energy of the day and the time is doing tshuva, besimcha, happily. Because we have to be able to do, and we're going to say to Hashem, don't send me away. Bring me close. So Rebbetzen Silver said such a beautiful thing today. Sometimes when a person has a to-do with somebody, will apologize and let finish and let go. And possibly you'll, have a little bit of more of a distancing in that relationship. But when we apologize to Hashem, you know what happens? He brings you closer and he loves you even more. And if you really think about it, and we really take this time and we look and we think to ourselves, this is the time that I want to do what's right. And this is the time that I want to say, Hashem, I want to give you nachas. So when I apologize, and I apologize certainly because even before I go to him, I've got to make sure that I'm in the good place wherever it is, with whoever the person is. When I come close to Hashem and I tell him, and I talk to and I call out to Hashem and I say to him, Hashem, Lev tahor barali Elokim. Give me that purest heart with the right intention. We all know the difference between emet, truth, and sheker, a falsehood. Right? For anybody who doesn't read or know the letters of the Hebrew alphabet, it's worth having a look at these 6 letters. Because the word sheker, which is a false, a lie, is a shin. And the shin does not have a flat base. It has, the next letter is a kuf, which has 1 leg to stand on. And the next is a resh, which also only has 1 leg to stand on. So it can't stand for that long. And then you go to the word truth, emet. And emet is an aleph which has 2 legs to stand on. And then there's a mem which has a flat line. And then you have the top, which is 2 legs holding it up. When we tell the truth, when we're truthful with ourselves, you'll tell the same truth all the time, because the truth is the truth. And sometimes we get to a deeper part of that truth, which helps us to recognize ourselves even more than that. But when it's dishonest, and it's not straight, and it's a sheker, a falsehood, then you can tell the same story 3 times with lots of differences because it's not true. And that's also to ourselves. So I think that one of the things that we talk about and that we learn also from this Perek 51, which is really, you have an opportunity to listen both to Rebbetzen Silver from last week and from this week, and join us next week at 10 o'clock London time in the morning. But she shows us how David HaMelech actually says, and he comes through the Perek, and he says, we're going to be through a place of simcha, of happiness. And then the next verse, he talks about forgiveness, and we need. And then the next verse, he talks about happiness. And then the next one, we go into simcha and forgiveness. And each alternating. Why? Because one of the things is that we have to go from something which is negative and pessimistic. We want to go to something which is beautiful and positive. And when we do something besimcha, it helps us to complete it because it makes us feel positive. And he said that Rabbi Nachman says, tell Hashem. Tell Hashem. What does Rabbi Nachman say? How do we talk to Hashem? Tell Hashem everything that you need. There's a story about Rabbi Nachman and Rabbi Nosson, his student, who gave up absolutely everything that he had to come to join him and wrote down all his works. And Rabbi Nosson had a pair of shoes that he needed to replace a pair of shoes. And Rabbi Nachman tells him that he must get the shoes. Okay? Have a beautiful Shabbos, Katie. And he says, get your shoes. So he says, even Hashem you must ask. So he says, ask Hashem for shoes? Yes. And Rabbi Nachman says to Rabbi Nathan, I asked Hashem for shoes and he hasn't given them. So you need to now ask him for shoes. But shoes, it's something which is just so simple. Like it's gashmius, it's physical. And Rabbi Nachman teaches us like this, and this is what is so beautiful. He says, we ask Hashem for health. We ask Hashem for parnasa, for wealth. We ask Hashem for healing, spiritual, physical, emotional. We ask Hashem for a nice shaitel. We ask Hashem to help us find clothes that are going to look nice on us in whichever way we have to wear them. We ask Hashem to help us to become healthier and to look and to help us to eat the things that we need to and should be having. We ask him for everything. We ask him to help me to be kind and nice to everybody I need to be kind and nice to. And do you know what else we ask him for? To help us be compassionate. To help us be compassionate to those people that we don't think we should be compassionate to. Wow. You know, there's so many little things that Hashem says if we could do. And look at the Talmud of Bara. We're going to go through it. We're going to have them. Hopefully I'm going to be able to share this with you as well, because it is something which is so beautiful, important when we go through the 13 midas of Hashem and emulating what Hashem wants for us to do. Gosh, it's tough stuff. It's tough stuff. I was learning with a lovely bat mitzvah girl, and she got a fantastic Dvar Torah off AI, and we're going to fix it up because it needs fixing up. It's not perfect and it wasn't okay. But it was funny. I said, what does it mean? She said, you know, that we created in the image of Hashem. Well, what does that mean? And she looked at me and said, I don't know. And then the next few words were to emulate. And I'm saying, what does that mean? I don't know. And then I thought to myself, you know what? The more we learn about the Torah, the more we learn about Hashem's greatness, his kindness, the all. And the more we learn and see what he does for us, and we're supposed to emulate that. And we're going to learn in this week's parsha this week. You're going to read through the parsha because you're going to see that Hashem tells us what we're not supposed to be doing. And then you think this is thousands of years that we're doing the things we're not supposed to be doing. How patient is Hashem? How compassionate is Hashem? How merciful is Hashem? How slow to anger is Hashem? And how abundant is his kindness, his truth, his preserver of kindness to all the generations, the forgiving of iniquities and willful sin and error that we have done. And what does he do? He absolves everything and he cleans our plate. And he says, you can start again, because you know there's such a thing called a whiteboard and you can rub it out totally. And the way that you rub it out totally is simply by saying, by learning, by writing it down and saying, you know what, Hashem? I am going to do better. I'm sorry. I did this wrong. And you know what? From tomorrow, I'm going to think about the month of Cheshvan from last year and think about something that I could have done wrong. I can tell you when it comes to Kislev for sure, those minutes before Shabbos. What should we be doing before Shabbos? What shouldn't we? When we should we have been ready? I've got to light my candles. I've got 3.5 seconds to light. You know, how can you light and calm when you've just got to get those wicks lit? And sometimes it takes longer. So we can think about things. Did I always eat carefully? Did I make blessings? Did I check for bugs? I can give us myself the list and I can share it and you can see if there are 1 or 2 things you can find. But my list grows. So I'm hoping that this year we're going to utilize the energy and the power of these 11 days left before Rosh Hashanah. And at the night before Rosh Hashanah, we're going to have our white, beautiful tablecloths on. You're going to remind yourself 3 days before, not on the day of, to get all your plates ready for your simanim so that we can have them all beautifully on the table. You can remind yourself not to stress about needing to impress anybody with the food because it's the least thing that we should be thinking about and worrying about. We've got to eat because we've got to take, and we take all the simanim because we elevate things and we bring it to our Rosh Hashanah table. That's stunning. Take the simplest things and turn them and make them into beautiful, good things. And that is our job for now. So with Hashem's help, we will take this opportunity of the 11 days. Please God, we will be together again next Thursday night. But we will really take this opportunity to write down, to make little changes, little things. Maybe put something in your phone, a reminder at whatever time that's good for you. 5 minutes in the day, 5 minutes out of the, I don't know how many hours you all have, but even if it is 15 hours, imagine 5 minutes in that amount of time, just to write it down, just to clarify for you and Hashem. It's yours and for no one else to read. It's between you and him. Okay? And then we're going to be able to get to Rosh Hashanah and we're going to be able to crown Hashem. It's amazing. We're going to be able to tell him because he's given us these tools to make us into connecting people and to make us into people where everything in the world counts. To make us into people where we look at every single human being and we say, you are a gift that Hashem put into this world. And please God, we ask him that all those that are living in the darkness of evil should merit to have their eyes opened, and that we should merit that even all those evil people will open up and see the goodness of Hashem. And we know that that's going to happen. We know that it's going to happen, that very soon the whole world's going to be in awe and say, wow, look at those miracles. And those miracles are taking place every single day. They're taking place, whether it's with Hashem protecting the Jewish people. I know there's pain. I know people have been killed. I know that there are many more people sitting in Olam HaEmet with him this year. I know that. But I also know that the miracles are many. And personally, I know of 4 miracles right here within the last couple of weeks. The last few weeks. In fact, I've just added on 5, 7. They're just miracles. They're miracles that Hashem is doing that helps us to see that. And sometimes their miracles are taking place that we don't want to be seen, and we don't want to acknowledge. But when we open up our neshama, and we connect our neshama, and we say it's okay to feel, it's okay to know that it's hard, and it's okay to say, Hashem, you're my rock, you're my salvation, you are the one that is putting us through this, and because you put us through this, you're going to take us out of it. And with that, we can literally have to tell you, challah is a miracle. Come on. Everything you look at, the fact that when you light your candles for Shabbat and you see, you take a match, you strike it. Why should that light? Why should that then ignite the wick to the oil? You know what? Where we're sitting and how we're sitting here right now, nothing short of a miracle. I don't know how this is happening. I don't know. I don't understand these things anyway. But the fact that I'm here and everybody else is in their home and we all connected through this crazy stuff, and we can see each other if we're online on pictures. Thank you for those with your screens. We can see each other. We can hear each other. It's just a miracle. So we say, thank you, Hashem. Thank you for allowing us to have this. Thank you for allowing us to share it. And my dough is a miracle. And I really do think, because when you look at all those ingredients before you put them into the bowl, and we literally take them and we say, like, how is it possible? Look at that. Actually smells like good dough. Okay? And think to yourself, like, look what's in here. And then we're going to take it and we're going to plait it. And then we're going to put it in the oven. And it grows. And then it tastes yum. And what do we take with it? It's something so physical, but in Ein Kemach, Ein Torah. And they're going to elevate our Shabbos. That's how holy they are. They're going to turn our Shabbos into having proper Siddur Mitzvah through this dough. And this is the dough of Sarah. Not the other one's more the dough of Sarah, sorry, the sourdough. But this is it. So we're going to take this bracha as a bat kohen separating the challah for the kohanim. And I love it when everybody adds on their bat kohen too. Okay, so here we are. And I'm davening now that we should say Be'ezrat Hashem, that we soon are going to be taking our own personalized challahs to where? Direct to the kohanim in Yerushalayim. And that's what we're looking forward to. So, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvaysav v'tzivanu, la'afish challah min ha'isa. Harei zul challah. In the merit of the mitzvah of Rosh Challah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should hear every single one of our prayers, that every single one of our hostages, both alive and not with us anymore in this world, should be brought home. That every single one of our enemies should be brought to justice. That Hashem should take all the dark from the world and bring it only to light. That we should use and merit to use these days taking us up to Rosh Hashanah for the good, for positivity, and for all of Klal Yisrael. That we take all of our simchas, all of our internal simchat chayim, and put it into the places that we all need to be. And may Hashem send refuahs and Yeshuas for all of Klal Yisrael. Thank you for being with us. And we will share and looking forward to seeing everybody 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, an Erev Shabbat. The only morning that we allowed off the Shabbos, and that's for being on Zoom, but we still have to make sure that we're going to say our Perek Tehillim. May Hashem just bless each and every one of us with the koyach, with the energy, with the mayach, with the capacity to be able to think, to be able to do, and to be able to actualize and be part of bringing Mashiach. They're wishing everybody a beautiful Shabbat. Make a beautiful Shabbat. And just love to everybody. There we go. Natalie, love to everybody.
Thank you, Shabbos.
And all your beautiful family. Thank you for being with us, Rosalind. I love that voice. And now I'm trying to think of who I was talking to that told me, oh my goodness, somebody in Stanford, but I can't remember it.
Thank you for everything.
Such a pleasure. Lovely to hear you, Donna.
Thank you.
Good love. Pleasure.